Hi everyone! Since I forgot it last time, let's just begin with the boss weapons that you can make from the curse-threaded Greatwood, and then we'll start the actual video. First, the Hollow Slayer Greatsword. Here's the description. Greatsword used for a lifetime by a masked knight, harbors the fears that lurk within the mind of Hollows, and is particularly effective against them. Bestowed the proper Mirror Knight long ago, two-handed to execute special sword techniques. Now first off, these special sword techniques, they are, well, whatever a straight sword does usually. Most straight swords have this stance technique, and you can guard break, and you can also do a stinger type move if you're familiar with Devil May Cry, though it doesn't have as much range. That masked knight, or that mirror knight that is mentioned in the description, by the way, is Lucatiel of Mira from Dark Souls 2. One of the more interesting characters from the game, if I say so myself. Basically, the story is that she's going hollow throughout the game, and, well, that's bad. She has a lot of kind of existential fright because of it. And it is called the Hollow Slayer Greatsword, and the description lets us know that there's extra damage against hollows, which is good, because most enemies are hollows, even bosses are hollows a lot of the time. However, it does not work against hollows that are other players. But being a hollow works a bit differently in this game than it does in others, and we will actually learn a bit more about that in this video proper. But yep, it's a greatsword. Greatswords are good, I like them. But let's move on to the next weapon. And here is Arster's Spear. The description goes as follows. One of the curses that festered within the belly of the Greatwood, and a terrible weapon favored by Earl Aster the Impaler. The spear is enwreathed in rotten, heavily poisoned meat. Defeating foes restores HP. Now, the HP restore that you actually get from it triggers every time you kill an enemy, and it stacks with a ring that does the same thing. Generally, this is a pretty good ability for weapon to have, because it just saves you a couple uses of Estus. Every time you kill something without taking damage, you just, gain something pretty much. The weapon skill is the Shield Splitter. It makes you go forward a bit, and it actually goes through shields, which, considering the tendency of some enemies to just turtle up, occasionally at least, pretty useful. And the name of the weapon, Arster's Spear, is a clear reference to Earl Aster, which is also referenced in the description of Dark Souls 1. But no, he's not a character that you actually know of, because it's just briefly mentioned in a few descriptions. So we don't really know anything about him for real. However, he has been mentioned in a previous Souls game. That's something to know. But let's move on to the video proper. Don't be alarmed if you hear an introduction again. That's simply because I recorded these weapon showcases after the fact, and I forgot it at the end of the last video. Anyway, let's go. Hello again everybody, welcome back to Dark Souls 3. Before we go back to the Undead settlement, last time after defeating the curse-rotted Greatwood, we got the Transposing Kiln, which if we had talked to Ludlith, he would have told us by now that we can give it to him, so let's actually have him tell us that he'll take it and then, give it to him.
Fret not, my feet are here firmly planted, for I am a lord, and this is my throne. Listen, this might pique thine interest. Before I was a lord of Cinder, I was a student of transposition, the process of extracting and coalescing the essence of a soul. A forbidden art that once left a foul stain upon Corlin's honor. 'Tis an art that grants powers once thought unattainable. Most transposing kilns were lost with Corland, but this place is a crossing for all manner of cursed objects. If thou happenest upon a transposing kiln, bring it to me, quick. Oh, belike it is a transposing kiln in thy possession. Seen better days, but methinks it shall suffice. Now, bring to me a twisted soul. Transposition is the art of extracting and coalescing the essence of a soul. In transposing a twisted soul, its true power transferreth to thee. Thy purpose is to seek lords and slay them. What's to fear in a little transposition now?
Alright, so the transposing kiln that we gave to Ludlith allows us to make boss weapons. Some of them, as you can see, are even free, some of them are rings, but we can only make one per boss soul, of course. So you need to, choose which one would suit you better. Sometimes even the rings aren't all that useful. Sometimes a boss just might not have anything that you want. But, the option's there.
Kept to link the fire.
But that's not all. We have a new guest in Firelink Shrine. A guest that I don't believe was here before.
Unkindled, are we? And fast on the trail of the Lords absconded? Then these red eyes are for you. Use them to pillage embers and briefly heighten your strength for your duty. What else are unkindled ashes good for?
If we use one of those cracked red eye orbs that we got from that guy here, Leonhard he's called, we'll be able to invade other people in their games. So we'll just hop into their game and try to kill them. If we win, we get a tongue. And once we have a tongue, we can give it to the Covenant leader of, well, that guy. But, it's gonna be a while till we find that Covenant leader. Now, couldn't find Hawkwood in there, but I know that sometimes he just likes to hang out right here, outside, near the grave that has a sword that looks like a Taurus' greatsword.
The poor wretched souls, be they lord or legend, the curse shows no mercy. What a sham.
Alright, so we haven't talked to Cornix yet after rescuing him, but we did make a promise to Grey Rat to, find Loretta. We did not really find her alive, though. We only found her bone.
Oh, hello, you're back. And in one piece. Well, now it's time I do my part. Whatever trinket you need, speak up. Just don't ask me where I got them. Do me a favor and don't forget our promise. Give this ring to old Loretta at the base of the high wall. A nuisance, I know, but it will help me tie up some loose ends. Heavens, she was already dead. Thank you. I'm not surprised, though. Almost a relief, really. You can keep the ring as, well, a little trinket of thanks, I suppose. You can keep the ring as...
I like that he's actually noticeably taken aback, learning of Loretta's death. I kind of wonder what their history was. It's never really explained as far as I am aware. Anyway, he still sells stuff. This hard leather set is a set from Dark Souls 1. And we could get it if we felt like it.
Goodbye, and stay safe. Oh, this place is a bore. What good is thievery if you've nowhere to go?
Alright, so for now, let's just head on over to something less depressing. Here's Cornix, the guy who just, teleported out of a cage.
Ah, there you are, unkindled one. I wish to express my gratitude
for trusting a lowly pyromancer and allowing me to gaze upon this majestic flame. As promised, I will impart pyromancies to you. But first, you'll need a flame of your own. Careful you don't burn yourself with it.
Alright, so pyromancy is fire-based magic. We need a pyromancy flame to cast it. And, you know, it's fairly powerful actually. It benefits from both the stats that are used for miracles and sorceries, so you can always use it as a bit of a sidearm, if you will. But it's perfectly legitimate to use as your main damage output too, if you want.
To learn pyromancies, you must vow to become my pupil. I know, but such is the way of the world. Respect your elders and so on. And pyromancy, of course, is no exception. Oh, we'll need a pyromancy tome to learn more advanced pyromancies. Though unorthodox, that would be the most expedient way to make progress. If this were the Great Swamp, and you had the luxury of time, we could have trained you the hard way. To learn do not be gone for long. What is a teacher without a pupil?
Right, that's almost it, but there's one more guy I forgot. There's still Yoel, you know, the pilgrim who failed to die? He hangs out back here, and he's pretty interesting actually.
Oh, our champion of Ash, welcome home. This pilgrim, with a debt in death, hardly deserves to behold this divine flame. And I never would have, had you not taken me into your service. I thank you dearly for this, and assure you of my leal service. As I have said, I was once a sorcerer. Alas, the magic of Londor is a far cry from the wonders of Vinheim. But I can teach you what I know. Perhaps, more importantly, I believe that I can help tease out your true strength. We pilgrims of Londor are keenly aware that those branded by the dark sign possess something quite special. As I have said, I weep. Then shall we begin? Bearer of the dark sign, let your true strength shine.
Oh sweet! A free level up. If we choose draw out true strength, he will, you know, just give us a free level up. I'm sure there's no drawback whatsoever to that. Everything will be fine forever. So let's make use of this generous offer and just, you know, put some stats into something.
Be safe, champion of Ash.
Alright, back to the meat of things. Back in the Undead settlement. Did I mention that this area is huge already? I kinda forget, but you know, it is pretty huge. We've explored, well, about 2/3 of it at this point. So today we're gonna explore most of what's left of it. And there's some pretty good stuff here too. I mean, we already got 2 NPCs out of this place, and there's some more in this area still. Those guys down there, they tend to head towards the boss door. They will then stay there and patrol up and down the stairs from there. At least I think that at least those 3 guys go up there, and one of the dogs usually also goes up there, as well as the crazy Bible lady. But the crazy Bible lady has a habit of falling off the bridge she spawns on for some reason. But she didn't do so now. But it does happen consistently if you take a certain route. But anyway, even though we're kind of taking a more devious approach to this situation right now, and we don't really get to see much use out of it, we are actually using the Uchigatana for now. We did get it, you know, right outside Firelink Shrine. There was this crazy naked swordmaster dude, and we killed him by shoving him down a cliff. And that's just for good measure, pretty much. I mean, he would attack us, but I just want to kill that dog. Well, anyway, we're using the Uchigatana. It is a katana-type weapon. It scales really well with dexterity. It has a decent moveset. I like it a lot. Moves come out fast, generally. It has a poke. It has essentially everything that I need of a weapon, to be honest. If you want to see more out of katanas, then you might want to watch the bonus videos. I'm not using the Uchigatana for that, but it's a katana with the exact same moveset. Oh yeah, crossing that bridge can be a bit tough. I mean, those big guys, they will throw their pots with the parts of dead people in them at you, and then replace them with their weird blades, machetes, whatever they are. And as far as I know, the second one will always aggro along with the first one, so if you don't take out the first one fast enough, the other one will also come here. But you can kind of, you know, cheese it by retreating back there. Another reason to kill the dog. You know, the dog would have attacked us by this point probably, but, you know, I just like to kill him. Yeah. And this is fortunate. We don't need to take care of him anymore. Now there's one more of those pot wielders over there. It's actually, in my opinion, much easier to have him bait their pot throwing move, because I find it harder to deal with them using it as a weapon for some reason. They can just smash it down repeatedly, and they can do so more often than you'd think. A lot of the time it'll seem like it can go into attack, but they will just smash it once more. Now there is a way to get down into that chasm, and that one guy will drop down if you don't kill him beforehand. Not a big deal though, to be honest. And I'm making my mission to exterminate all dogs. Again, they're not even that tough of an enemy, it's just that if you don't use a shield, they can be quite tough because they move around really fast. And the easiest way to take them out is just block one of their attacks and then kill them. Which, since I play mostly characters that dodge a lot, is pretty difficult. I either two-hand my weapon or I just don't use a shield in order to not get above a certain weight limit. Anyway, ahead is some dude.
Another one of those unkindled, are you? All you faceless undead, behaving as if you deserve respect. No matter. Heed my words. If you've any sense, you go find a coffin to huddle up inside. You, here, in this land of hollows. You're like a frail maiden on the front lines. If, like the others, you're fool enough to play the champion, then go on ahead. Traipse right past the abandoned church. You'll face death. And it won't be pretty. Enough death to leave you broken. Time after time. Yeah. If, like the others, you're fool enough to play the champion, then go on ahead. You like poking around in cells, do you? How very genteel. Ah. Taking an interest in her, have you? which is a lost cause. Couldn't even become a firekeeper. After I brought her all this way and got her all ready. She's beyond repair, I tell you.
That guy seems like a bit of a dick. He is from Kareem. Other people of note from Kareem, Oswald of Kareem from Dark Souls 1, who was a little bit too much into sin. And this, by the way, is near the guy who carried the cage. You know, that's that corpse. And also Lord Trek of Kareem, who actually killed a firekeeper if we rescued him. So another good track record for Kareem so far. And then there's, you know, that guy, as well as the woman in the cell. Well, let's carry on, you know. Maybe there'll be something that reminds us of more pleasant characters from Dark Souls, who knows. Could happen any second now. That's an elevator. Just went up and from below. Oh my.
Oh. Pardon me, I was absorbed in thought. I am Siegwart of Katarina. To be honest, I'm in a bit of a pickle. Have you ever walked near a white birch only to be struck by a great arrow? Well, if I'm not mistaken, they come from this tower. Whoever it is, I'm sure I can talk some sense into them. But I have to find a way up, and that's just the trouble. This lift only goes down, you see, and... Well, that doesn't get me anywhere.
I think we've already discovered the secret of this elevator here. And that there's actually two platforms. Both go down whenever you send it down, and both go up whenever you send it up. However, if you want to go up, you'll first need to send the lower platform down. Simple as that. And Sigurd here is actually... he's basically Sigmaya from Dark Souls 1. Same voice actor, I believe, even. And a very similar demeanor. There's a bit of a difference to how he acts, but we'll be getting into that in a bit. For now, let's actually try to talk some sense into him.
Who are you?
Hi.
I help anytime.
Well, that was easy. So that young white branch that you got from is a special one. It's the same young white branch that we would get for actually, you know, taking it as a starting gift. There's others that you can find in the game world, but this one's special. It has a different entry in the item menu, even though it has the same icon and effect. You can just see two branches next to each other. However, you should never use it, because as long as we have it, the giant won't attack us anymore. Anyway, here's Sigurd again.
Ah, oh, don't disappear like that. You had me downright worried. But thanks to you, an epiphany has struck me square in the head. I've unraveled the riddle of this inscrutable lift. On some days I begin to doubt myself. I went up the tower, so I thought, then somehow ended up here. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Anyhow, do you see that? That humongous beast? I'm no coward and I've a steady hand, but that thing makes my skin crawl. How now? Think twice before you go down that road. I could try talking some sense into him. No, I think not. He's far too overheated. I've got to use my head and think. I could try.
Alright, we know this drill from Dark Souls 1. Sigmaya, or rather Sigward in this case, is in a tough situation, and we need to defuse it for him before he will advance. So, you know, let's just take care of this big bad.
No! You should have waited! Well, too late now. I, Sigurd of the Knights of Katarina, fight by your side!
I think I may have spoken too soon. It seems like the roles are reversed this time around. At the end of Sigmaya's questline in Dark Souls 1, he would recklessly charge into a horde of enemies and potentially die, and it was our job to make sure he stays alive. And this is basically what he's doing now with us. And even though this enemy isn't too difficult normally, if you know what you're doing, the thing is, he's not very cooperative. And Sigmar is actually not helping. Sorry, Sigward. Whenever I call him Sigmar, just pretend I say Sigward. Anyway, he's not helping. I'm trying to lure him to a more favorable location, but Siggy will just keep him where he is at. And I'm afraid that Siggy might die, because he can die apparently. It's never happened for me, but it can happen apparently. And that's obviously not something you want to do, because he has a pretty long quest line in this game, much like in the first game. And the quest lines this time around are a bit easier to screw up, according to some people, but I think they're about on par with Dark Souls 1 in screw up ability. Most of them at least. There's some outliers, of course. And obviously, when the big flaming dude charges up an attack, you should just go away because there might be an explosion. But Siggy can just take everything like a champ, he doesn't even care. And he's just standing there, look at that. And also be mindful of its range, it goes a bit farther than you'd probably think. Oh well. Thankfully the game just lets you try again without Sigma just dying because you died. No, it takes mercy on you here. And again, this enemy is not too tough usually, and it's worth it fighting him for the fire gem.
That was quite a performance. But you mustn't get in over your head. We Unkindled must put our duties first. But, for the moment, we've a toast to make. To your valor, my sword, and our victory together. Long may the sun shine! Well, I'm going to have myself a little nap. The only thing to do, really, after a nice toast.
I just called him Sigmar again before we started talking, didn't I? Anyway, the Seek Boy that we got is a full heal, but you shouldn't use it for that. I mean, you can if you're desperate, but you can also give it to the crows and get a part of the sunlight set. The sunlight armor, I believe, which would be Solaire's armor from the first game. You know, if you're into that. I'm not sure if I'll get it personally. I've never been too fond of it. Just because it looks kinda, you know, weird in the wrong way. Of course, mileage may vary. Some might very well enjoy this. But yeah, this is the last big chunk of this area. This little square here and the building that we're about to enter. And after that, there's just a tiny bit more that, you know, needs to be exploring. It's a part that we've seen before, and then something else even. God, this area is huge! Did I mention that already? By this point, I think I must have. But it bears repeating that this area probably has the most content of any area of the game. Don't get me wrong, Other areas will be big too. Not as big as that one, but they will be big. However, this area has the most optional content, mainly because almost all of it is optional. If you take a straight path right to the end of the area, which we haven't seen yet, by the way, we haven't seen the end of the area yet, but we'll go there at some point. If you go there just from the start, it might take you 10 minutes if you fight every enemy. You can go there even faster probably if you just know what you're doing and just run through. And if you want to explore the entirety of it, it might take you much longer. I can't even give you an accurate estimate, because it just depends on how well you're doing. It might be an hour, might be half an hour if you're really quick and know what you're doing, but again, it's hard to tell. This is also one of the less linear levels. I mean, you can tell there's a lot of paths to take usually, but almost all other levels in Souls games are just strictly linear. Like even in Dark Souls 1, where people say the game is really non-linear, what they mean is not the individual levels, but actually the order in which you can just go through them. Because there's a lot of, you know, different routes that you can take depending on how good you know the game. And while this is not a mimic, it certainly is a trap. But you can spot it from a distance. However, you might still have to spring it. You can actually shoot those guys down with a bow. I've never actually tried it, to be honest, in this case, with those particular four. So I'm not sure if they will all drop if you do that, or if it's just that one guy. That might be something worth trying out in my next run. Anyway, even if you spring the trap, they're not too tough to deal with. The most devastating thing that they can do is just to, I don't know, throw poop at you, I guess. And we do get a dark pine resin, which is a weapon buff that, makes a weapon dark. However, for this upcoming fight, I choose to use a charcoal pine resin, which is just that thing, but as you can probably tell, it sets our sword on fire instead. Whether this is the best course of action against an enemy who uses fire to kill us is a different question entirely, but it does do more damage, I'll say that much. But two of those crazy Bible ladies, we haven't fought that many at once yet. So this is definitely a challenge. However, if you have a really powerful weapon and you buff it up, you can just run in and just attack both of them at the same time and deal a lot of damage to them, to take a bit of edge out of the fight. If you have high enough DPS, you might even be able to kill one of them. But I prefer just wearing down both of them. Depends on what weapon you're using though. Some weapons might not be able to hit both of them at the same time. The Uchigatana, however, definitely is. You just need to position yourself right. But that's basically it for combat encounters for this route. We're almost done here. Now the next bit to do is to just, reap our rewards. And even though Flint's Ring was nice in Dark Souls 2, it certainly isn't here. The lower your equip load, the more your attack power increases. It's kinda bad in this game though. So, here's where you get the real reward. It's a bit hidden, I have to say. So you might just be inclined to use a homeward bone that you have in your inventory to get back, but there's always a way to get back on foot. There's only one part where you have to use a homeward bone, and we've already been there. It's the Pit of Hollows after you use the cage to get down to Holy Knight Hodrick. And he even gives you a homeward bone because you need to do it to get out. And let's just use the special weapon skill of the chime. It just regenerates ourselves while we, hold it in our hands. And we did actually get the Chloranthy ring, a very good ring. It increases the speed of our stamina regeneration. And we also got the Mirror armor set, which was the armor set of Lucatiel from Dark Souls 2. It was one of the cooler looking armor sets as far as I'm concerned. And we'll definitely be wearing it at some point, because I quite like the way it looks. Though since we are fairly bulky, it might look a bit weird on us. But that won't stop me. I think you can already tell where we are now. This is the stairs up to the boss room, and this is the crazy Bible lady that I said would patrol up and down them. So how do we best deal with this? Because I don't want to fight them. Well, thankfully we don't necessarily have to. We can either wait for the patrol to be, you know, past us, or we can just... Actually, if we were smart, unlike me, just completely go past him. Because you can see, right over there, where that glow is, there's also a dog. We could just sneak there and just kill that dog solo. It would be pretty simple. I don't even think that the patrol could hear us far enough. Yep, they cannot. But you know, now all there's left to do is just run past all of them. Don't need to fight them. They will not actually follow us through that door as far as I know. Because there's actually supposed to be a boss here. Like, not in this room, but in the next one. I mean, we've already seen it. But since we've made peace with the giant, let's just go back to where he gave us some trouble earlier. Because now he won't shoot at us anymore. He'll just shoot at the enemies exclusively now. Previously, he would ruin both our days. Now, just theirs. And I can appreciate that. Unfortunately, they don't really give you that much souls. Otherwise, it would have been a good spot to just easily farm some souls. If you're desperate, however, you can totally do it, I suppose. And while we could have just looted all of those items previously, it's obviously much easier to just wait until you can just walk through here with impunity. Either by making peace with a giant, or by picking up the young white branch as your starting gift. Or by still having that branch in your inventory from a previous playthrough in New Game Plus. That's kind of more of a an outlier case, I suppose. And I spot an ambush. I'm smart. I'm not. Well. This is kind of how it happens sometimes. Even though you know what's gonna happen, or rather, you know that there's something coming, it might still get you in some weird kind of way. Those guys wielding the two-handed swords are pretty tough anyway. They deal a lot of damage, they have a lot of range, and they move in not necessarily erratic patterns, but they're kind of unpredictable. We do get some sweet armor, but this isn't what we're here for. We want this. The ashes. We can give those to the handmaiden. And actually, we could have gone up that upper path there without actually having to worry about the giant shooting at us. But, you know, we did it already, so yeah. Let's just go home for now.